welcome. This is Pastor D, your prophetic purpose pusher, again with another exciting episode. My goodness, did you tune into the last episode? My goodness, as we would say from our tribe, fire was in the house. And so I want to greet you and welcome you, and hopefully you're enjoying this awesome time. I have some guests in studio. You are going to love this. You are going to be excited about what we have to share. Pull up a chair. Just share, hit that share button, hit that like button, tell a friend, tell your family that the prophetic purpose pusher is in the room, and we are going to discuss topics, and we're going to talk about life issues, and we're going to talk about issues that will hit in the heart of the matter. As I oftentimes said, heart work is hard work. But if you don't do the work, then you'll be brokenhearted. And we don't want that. So this morning, I am excited. I have one of the daughter of our house in studio, and we have Coretta Robinson Demery in house at the mic. And today we are going to continue our topic, and we're going to talk about being saved, being satisfied, being Bishop Senegal says resingled, and it's a new word. It's not in the dictionary. Don't go looking for it. Um, and sanctified, satisfied, made alive. And so I want her to introduce herself to the listening audience, and we're going to jump right into our conversation. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Come on, introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Coretta Robinson Demery, and I am single, and I'm the mother of 4 adult kids.
Woo, she said single. So we're going to talk about how she has 4 kids and is single because she's saved. Okay. Thank you for coming to the table, and this is our safe space. And in safe space, there's no limit. We're not trying to bash. We're not trying to make anyone feel bad. What we're trying to do is for you to tell us your story, because there's glory in your story. Our apostle always say that there's glory in your story. And so we want to hear about your story. We're going to find the glory. We're going to find redemption in your story. We're going to find restoration, restitution, recovery. We're going to find those things in your story. So talk to me. You said that you are singled. That's a new word, singled. And you have 4 adult children. So talk to me about your story. How did you get to having 4 children and single? Talk to me about life prior to today.
Well, I was previously married to my husband, which is Bernard Demery, and we had 2 children to that marriage. I had 2 children prior to my marriage. We were married for 22 years, and we've been divorced now for 2.5 years.
22 years, my goodness. So you came in as with a blended family, and 4 children, and 22 years is a long time, and you've been divorced. And so we're taught that when you're divorced, you become single.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a divorce, and now you are singled, resingled, as Bishop Senegal would say. So talk to me about the process of being married for 22 years. We have so many listeners, so many different people in our audience, and what we try to do is to empower. We try to give people tools to use to get unstuck, to move forward. So talk to me about the process of being married and getting to the place of being single.
Okay. Well, my marriage wasn't all that. We had some great times. I had a great husband.
Talk to me about the great times.
My husband was the man that took care of his kids. When you see him, you see his kids. So we have this thing in the South where they feed the babies. I've never fed my kids before because I didn't know how to do it. He would make a little pad on the floor. He would keep the kids whenever there were meetings at school that I couldn't attend. He was always there. he was just a great person. He was a great dad to the kids. Whenever they needed something, they would call dad. If there had something happen, they would always say, call my dad. Do not call my mom. Because dad was the most lenient than I was.
Okay, so our story started off where here you are, you had two children before, prior to being married. You met your husband. Talk to me about meeting your husband. Talk to me about that place where you met him. Paint a picture. You have two children. Here comes your husband to sweep you off your feet. Give us a picture.
When you say love a man, I love this man. I
Really?
mean, he just took my breath. We were best friends. So that's how we started. He was in the military. And my parents like.
Well, wait a minute. So let's shout out to, I love my military men. Shout out to my military men, veterans, currently serving, deployed, or wherever you are stateside, or if you are overseas. I just want to give a station identification break and shout out to our military men and women. So he was in what branch of the military?
He was Army and he was a marksman.
Okay, so you have a marksman. We got to pay attention here. He got a marksman. Okay, so I better not mess with him. So here he is. He's in the military. You have two children, and he swept you off your feet. Come on, talk to us.
So when we first started talking, like I said, we were best friends, and he just said it doesn't matter about the kids. And he was a man that loved kids. So I had these two little boys, and I would have one on his left knee and one was on his right knee, and everywhere you go, you would see them. And he just told me, I love these boys as if they were mine. So there was never a difference between Coretta kids and Bernard's kids. They were all Bernard's kids.
Oh, that's so good. So we're going to give kudos to the man or to men who can step in. Anybody can plant seed, but not everybody can harvest. Oh, that's good right there. We can all plant seed, but it takes a real man to stay and water and prune and groom and watch the children. So here he stepped up. We call that stepping up. So he stepped up, he stepped into a role, and he is father. And so now he swept you off your feet. He's a military man. You have two children. And talk to me about the courtship.
Well, it wasn't really a courtship.
What do you mean it wasn't a courtship? You were in love.
I was in love. It was like one day I woke up and there were two big black trash bags in my closet. They weren't there the previous days, and it's just like immediately he moved in with me.
Wait a minute. What do you mean he moved in with you?
Exactly that.
Aren't you a church girl? Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. So you're saying you were in love, you have two kids already, and he moved in, and you're not married, but you're a church girl, right? You've always been a church girl. Talk to us about that.
That was an issue with my parents.
But it wasn't an issue with you.
No, I'm being honest. No, ma'am. I was in church. I was serving God, but not to the fullest, like we do sometimes.
No, I don't know what that means. Talk to me about what that means. I mean, you're church, you're saved, you're in church, and here you are hooking up, shacking up. What's that about?
Well, I was in church, but I didn't know God like I know God now.
You all heard that. Y'all heard that, right? So she was in church, but the church wasn't in her. No. So you're in love, and you are not married, and two big black trash bag. So what? How did you get to that place where was there conviction?
I'm being honest, no.
Okay, this is a safe space. I mean, this is in your past. You've already overcome your past. So, I mean, we tell the truth here, and so that we can help others. So here you are, two children. Here comes a military man sweeping you off your feet, playing with the kids. And so you got enamored, you got swept away, and you said, well, move in.
I didn't invite him to move in. He just moved in on his own accord. He just moved in. My mom was very upset.
Wait a minute, he just moved in. He had a key. I mean, you just what? Just says, come on, move in. I mean, we need to, be very clear. You wanted him to move in.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, say that. I wanted him to move in. I told him it was okay. And now we're shacking up. That's what we call that.
We were shacking up because at that time, that flesh was hot.
Hot, hot, hot.
So,
Fire in the house.
It was fire in the house. So therefore, that's how that came about.
So how long did you shack up before you got proposed to?
3 years.
Oh, that's a long time. So for 3 years, you continued to go to church, you, your kids, and your man, shacking up
Yes, ma'am.
to the Holiness Church.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I wasn't holiness. I was Baptist.
Okay, okay.
And then
Some leniency right there.
the Baptist, which I refuse to do. Whenever you have a child, when you're in the Baptist church, you have to stand before the church and ask for forgiveness. That was not me. I said I would stop coming to church before I would do that.
Okay.
So I kind of did that. And
so you stopped going to church because you didn't want to repent because you were shacking up.
I was enjoying my shack, and I'm being
honest.
honest.
Did you hear her? She was enjoying her flesh.
I was enjoying my flesh.
Okay, for 3 years, you have your 2 kids. You have a man, a military man. He just moved in, and you let him. Your flesh is on fire because you got 2 kids already. And then now you moved in. You're still going to church. The church have a protocol that in order for their policy is that you would come to the church, ask for forgiveness so that you can be membership in the church and accepted, but you refused to do that, so you backslid.
Yes,
You backslid when you were sleeping around, but for the church's sake. So you were all the way backsliding. Like, this is not baseball, you slide to the base, but you were backsliding. Okay. All right. So you're playing baseball backwards. Okay. So here you are. So he's moved in. At that point, talk to me about emotionally. How did you feel? You have a man who loves your kids. You're in a backslidden condition. You're not going to church. Talk to me from that.
If I would be honest, my mind and everything, my heart was just focused on him and my children.
You were in love.
I was in love.
Okay.
I was truly, truly in love. As I stated earlier, when you said a woman love a man, I just love him. I would take anything, just being honest.
Yes.
I put up with a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have, but I just love this man. Even though you've seen the signs that you should put your foot down, but sometimes when love is there, or when you think that's true love, you overlook it.
So we're saying that love is not blind, that love have eyes.
Yes, because I turn my eyes to it instead of confronting it.
Okay, so here you are, you're so enamored, you're so in love, you're so overtaken with this military man. Oh, I love a man in uniform too. I know how it feels. Ain't nothing like some dress blues, I'm trying to tell you. Okay, and so here you are, and you are now enamored, you're in love, you're shacking up, but you don't care. Your thing is that I love this man and I'll do anything for this man. And so within the 3 years, would you say that you are at your happiest, or you are just doing fairy tale?
It would have been a fairy tale romance. But just before we get there, this is how much it was. My parents didn't want it when I was getting married.
Well, we not even getting to the proposal yet, because we shacking up.
Okay.
No. We can't jump ahead. You shacking up. You left church. You left the God you profess to serve. You are now in love. Now you're seeing droppings and signs, but your love has blinded you for this man, right? And he has not committed to you yet. No commitment. Just love the kids and you're in love. And you're like, okay, this is my family. At any time did you say, I want to be married? Did you give him hints? Did you drop hints? Or was it a surprise proposal?
all honesty, he had asked me to marry him earlier, but I didn't want to marry him.
Why? I mean, you're in love. That doesn't make any sense. Wait a
It's
minute.
an oxymoron.
It is an
I
oxymoron.
started seeing things, but when we be honest, when your flesh is hot,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be with another man. I'd have already had 2 kids from 2 different men, and now I had him.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be one of those women that ran around in the street. So I was making do.
Okay, wait a minute. So you're playing house. So now this man, he moved in. You let him move in with 2 black bags, trash bags, and that's not a sign to run?
Not at that time because that flesh was hot.
Wait a minute. 2 black trash bags, no furniture, no nothing. And you're so in love.
I'm so in love.
My God. Talk to me about that kind of love thing. So you're in love. He move his 2 trash bags. He take up residence in the home. And so you said you're in love, but you're starting to see what? Duplicity. You're starting to see character flaws. You're starting to see what when you said no, when he asked you to marry him, because most women are looking for a man to say, will you marry me? And you turned him down, but he was good enough to live with, to sleep with, to do the do with, yet you didn't want to marry him. Why?
At that time, I started seeing signs of him drinking.
Okay.
And I was green. I knew the signs of drinking, but I didn't know the signs of drugs at the time.
Okay, so he's drinking and you're in love. I mean, everything about him just turned you upside down, but you don't want to marry him.
Yeah, no, I decided I didn't want to marry him at the time.
Okay, so you are traveling down a road and you are going to South Carolina, and there are signposts, and you decided you don't need the signpost because you're in love. Oftentimes, we get signs for directional, but we don't want those signs because we know where we're going. So you see the signs, he's drinking casually, a lot, or what? What alerted you to say, wait a minute, this is more than casual drinking?
He would travel when he worked, and the bills was due that particular time. And I come from a family that had money, but it was my responsibility to pay the bills. So I wrote these checks to pay the bills, and all my checks bounced.
Wait a minute.
All my checks
Oh,
bounced.
wait a minute. This is safe space for you. So here you are, was doing good with your 2 kids, and you were doing good. You had 2 kids. You had your family support, so you weren't desperate, but your flesh was hot. See, these are the things that happen when we have misplaced emotion and misplaced loyalty and we're blinded by what we call love. So now you were paying your bills before. He moved in with his 2 trash bags. So prior to him coming in, you were paying your own bills.
Yes, I had.
So you moved in, you were hoping that he would move in and be a bill payer?
That was his job because he was the man.
And a sleeping partner? So you were looking for a sleeping partner and a bill payer?
That's part of the plan.
Okay, part of the plan. So the plan boomerang and backfired, because here you are, relinquished your right to pay your bills. You were doing fine. And there was no alert that he only have 2 black trash bags.
Well, that's all that he brought over.
Okay, that's what he brought over.
He brought over.
Okay, so he brought over his 2 trash bags, didn't ask permission. You gave him full reign, and now you're paying the bills and you have bounce checks.
Yes.
Okay, talk to us.
I had an anger problem also.
Okay, so you did what? So you paid so now you stopped working because the man is in the house. Okay, so your money, you were paying the bills. I mean, ladies, I want you to hear this. Coretta was paying her bills. She was fine with her 2 kids. Here our flesh was not dealt with. And, like all, our flesh, that's why it says don't awaken passion before it's time. And so he moved in and now you expect him to pay the bills. Was this a conversation or this was just an expectation in your mind?
See, that's where he moved me. Because when he moved in, he started paying the bills. I didn't ask him to pay the bills or anything.
Ah, I knew there was something
He
behind that.
started paying the bills, so I thought I was high on the hog at the time. So
High on the hog. She
I
was
didn't-
froggy. Jump, jump. Okay.
yes.
So how long did he pay the bills before there was that rubber ducky bounce check? That's what we call it, rubber ducky.
It was a long time because he suppressed it. He hid it from me. I knew that he would drink a beer every once in a while, but I didn't know about the liquor at the time.
Okay, so you stayed with him, shacked up with him for 3 years. Within the 3 years, when did this first bounce check happen? Because there are signs along the path that we overlook.
It was about that third year.
Third year. So for the first 3 years, you would say you had a life of bliss.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Okay, so you had a wonderful life, a life of bliss. You found your man. You don't want to marry him. He asked you to marry him. No, I mean, that's a sign that you said no.
I said no because that's when I noticed the drinking because I've never been around anyone that drank before because my grandfather didn't allow drinking or anything in our household. And at the time, my grandfather was deceased, so that's how I got more into my ex-husband than I should have because I didn't have that male figure at the time.
Oh, stop it. So you had 2 kids already,
Oh, yes.
and granddaddy was alive when you had the 2 kids. You were just dropping it like it's hot, just rolling it out there.
But I wasn't shacking.
Okay, you wasn't shacking. You was just going, doing it, come back, 2 kids, and then boom, booyah. All right. And then, so now you're living with him for 3 years, and then he proposed. Talk to me about the proposal.
So he said, what if I would ask you to marry me again? And this time I'm like, I might as well go ahead and marry him now because I'm pregnant with BJ now.
Oh, okay. See, there's more to the story. Okay, wait a minute. So here you go. You didn't learn your lesson 1 time. You didn't learn your lesson 2 times. You didn't learn your lesson. So the 3rd time, by reason of default, you came up pregnant. And so you're pregnant and you decided by default, like, since I'm pregnant, might as well I get married.
Yes.
Ooh, fire in the house. Talk to me.
We got married.
So you said yes
I said yes.
by default
By default.
because you're pregnant.
Because I'm pregnant.
Okay, so now bring your parents in the story because now you came up pregnant again.
Again.
You didn't learn your lesson.
I did not learn my lesson.
Your flesh was on fire.
My flesh was on fire.
My goodness. And he was a firefighter.
He was the fighter.
Oh my God. Okay, so the firefighter with his helmet asked you to marry him. And you said yes, because now you pregnant.
Yes. So my mother and I had a sister relationship. We wasn't mother and daughter. So I told her that Bernard had asked me to marry him. She said, absolutely not. And I told my grandmother. She said, absolutely not. So I just met my father when I was in high school. So I'm planning this wedding with no help from my family whatsoever. They wouldn't give me anything.
Okay, so wait a minute. So here again, another sign. So now you are just totally doing your own thing, totally in rebellion,
Yes.
totally disregarded the voices that have kept you safe and sane, the voices of protection. Everybody said no. But again, you're going by your circumstances. Did they know you were pregnant or did they just think you are in love or just defiant?
My grandmama said I was just crazy.
Okay,
Matter of fact, she said, you just fool.
okay.
And my mom was like, I already know that you're pregnant, so you don't have to marry this man. And I was like, but I love him, but I'm not sure. And then she was like, why are you getting married? And I said, because I don't want my children to be without a father. I already got 2 kids. And I don't want to be without my kids without a father. So that's why I said yes.
You said yes, even though you see the signs of drinking, the bounce check, you see the signs your family have said no that have protected and provided for you. This is your third go around, but you bypass all the signposts because in your head you have a Cinderella. We call that the Cinderella fairy tale. And I oftentimes says that magic only happened with the witches or at Disney. So here you are, and so you overruled everybody, and you're planning a wedding.
Yes. So we came to the day of the wedding. It poured down rain. And I'm sitting in the house with my gown on, and I'm saying, where is this limo driver? I'm an hour late. So I called the limo driver. I said, where are you, Mr. Champel? He said, your daddy told me not to come pick you up. All the people are in the church waiting for me. He's at the altar. I'm at the house. I just started to cry. And my mother just looked at me. She knew all along that my dad told them not to come bring me to the church because they didn't want me to get married. So I told Mr. Champel, you get in that limo and you come get me because I'm going to marry him. I got to the altar and Bernard Dimon was drunk.
What?
He was,
Wait, what?
he was so drunk to when we went to light the unity candles, he stepped on my train. And I'll never forget, I said, get off my dress. In front of everybody.
This is his face, and I just said, you can't make me stop.
I am so serious. I am so serious.
You can't make me stop. Wait a minute. I mean, you. Wait a minute. This. Wait a minute. This is better than a soap opera here. I'm telling you, in Safe Space, you get it real live and uncut. And so your family, even your dad and your granddad says, don't marry him on the day it's raining. Talk about signs, sound significance. And you bypass all that. Your man waiting for you drunk at the altar, stepping on your train. Your anger showed up. So one is drunk, one is angry, and the preacher marry you. Talk to me about that.
We didn't have no honeymoon that night.
Okay, wait a minute. You're not. So the preacher went ahead.
Yes. The pastor went ahead and he married us.
With him drunk.
With him.
And you being your sane, safe self, backslidden self, who the gods of this world have blinded the minds of those. Anyways, this is not my story. This is your story. Thank you for telling your story. And I'm glad that you're sharing your story. You're sharing your story. So you now are, my goodness, we're coming up on a break so soon. My God, I hope you're hearing this story, because at this place where we are at, we have Coretta at the altar, late for her wedding. Her granddaddy said, tell the limo driver, don't pick her up because we don't want her to marry this man. It's raining. People are waiting in the church. He's drunk at the altar. And she comes in to the church. He's drunk, stepped on her train, lighting the unity candle. The pastor went ahead with the marriage, and we're going to have to pull up here, and we're going to have to take a break because you're going to have to tune in next week to hear the continuation of this amazing story. My God, this is Safe Space, and I hope that as you're listening to this story, we're laughing, we're having fun. This is 22 years ago, but Coretta has been vulnerable and we're getting some humor out of it. But I hope that you're hearing how when you allow your flesh to lead you, when you allow yourself to avoid all the signposts and the voices of reason, what can happen. This is your prophetic purpose pusher, Pastor Denise, saying stay tuned for episode 2.